The metaverse is poised to fundamentally change how we work across all sectors. We are already seeing the impact in industry and advanced manufacturing. The next panel has the title, The Metaverse for Business, and brings together experts from various industries and backgrounds to discuss the potential impact of the metaverse on business and the key opportunities and challenges that organizations may face as they explore this new frontier.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Yeah. Yes. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Βασίλης Σαμούρκας. I'm the deputy editor of Fortune Greece. And we are going to talk about the metaverse for business. We have 4 exceptional experts on their fields. I would like to welcome Ms. Maria Pace, XR Optics Hardware, Global Partnership and Strategy at Google. Good morning.
Thank you.
Mr. Dean Bates, CTO Technologist at Lenovo.
Thank you.
Mr. Kirner, Clemens, CEO of Insider Navigation.
Hello.
Good morning. And Mr. Jay Latta from STINT-Strategic Intelligence for New Technology and Anarchitect. I'd like that. Well, technology disruptor, for sure. So I wish you could hear us from when we were in the backstages, because we have a very interesting discussion about the questions and more. We will share some of this, some of those we told, not everything. I'm joking. Well, my first question has to do about the definition of the metaverse. Well, the keynote speech before was very interesting. We were listening and commenting on it. So how do you define the metaverse, and what are some of the key components that make up this concept?
Yes, thank you.
Maria.
Thank you for the question. Also, thank you for having us here today. It's a privilege to be here. So I think Alvin made a very good explanation of the metaverse, and including the Web3, AI, and eventually this immersive experience beyond the 2D that we are more used to interacting today, so more with the XR devices, and that will be more in the long run. So I believe he did a great job explaining what is really the metaverse, and it's great to see how these building blocks are coming together and eventually will form this platform where we can participate and be creative and explore. So,
Tim, it has to do, it's kind of philosophical or not?
Thank you.
It's kind of philosophical or not?
I'd agree, it's philosophical. When it comes to metaverse, like I said, we already had a good example of what it looks like or what it's going to be. But from my point of view, it's really how we all are going to connect together and communicate with each other. And it's not our generation, it's probably 2 generations from now. We're pretty much the ramp to that to the metaverse, if that makes sense.
We have a lot to see, don't we? Clemens?
I think there's not much to add anymore, right? I think everything is there. I guess right now it's more like a strategy. Well, what could it be in, like you've said, 2 generations?
Yep.
And
yes.
what do we make in between to get there? But right now, for me, it's a concept, right? And at the moment, we have a lot of small projects, solutions, and I guess how do we get there that we have something like internet and a web browser, and this is a concept everybody is knowing how to use it, yeah.
So Jay, businesses do not need the definition in order to start investing or thinking about investing in the metaverse?
So do you want a diplomatic answer or do you want a real answer?
I want your answer.
My answer. So currently the businesses are focused on getting the biggest claim on whatever they think is the metaverse. Metaverse is not, for example, Fortnite. It's not all of these other things is where they claim they are the meta. It's nonsense. The metaverse, in fact, is a connectivity layer. It's a connectivity layer between different verses. So here some things are being missing. We've already discussed this backstage. We need interoperability. We need multimodality. We need standards so that you can, Tim compared it quite well with what happened in the gaming sector when you had all of these small islands that were not able to talk with each other. And the key is that we connect these. So it doesn't matter if you use your smartphone, if you use a VR headset, if you use a mixed reality headset, and so on. It should be simply available what you need right now. Mm-hmm. If any one of the people who are talking about the metaverse would have read Snow Crash from Neil Stephenson and not just watching Ready Player One or The Matrix, then they would have seen that his definition of the metaverse is in fact a mixed reality experience where you are able from your real reality to interact with any kind of technical realities. Mm-hmm. It's an inclusive, it's a diverse vision what he has created. And this is where we should head into.
You talk about standards. Who's going to set those standards?
The creators, we, not the companies. We, it's up us.
We? Yes. You mean the consumers, the
consumers,
the audience, yes. Or the stakeholders for business?
The audience are the consumers. The consumers are the stakeholders. Mm-hmm. It's not the people who are building these things. It's us. We have to use it. Why should we use some kind of crappy vendor locked-in thing that we don't like? I mean, look, for example, my favorite Meta company that I will not name here. They just, with the beginning of the metaverse hype, renamed themselves. When they try to lock in the people, as soon you bundle your devices with some kind of platform and not allow others to participate on this. This is toxic. So in fact, to open up, to enable everyone, it means to define these standards. Defining standards that we want to have, and out of these standards we can even start talking about what is ethical, what is needed, what do we drop, and so and so. How do we make money? Afterwards, not before.
Mm-hmm. Tim?
It's more of the standards are, The standards are the basis of everything that we need to really concentrate on because there aren't any standards right now. You have multiple different companies that are going in multiple different directions, and no one's really perfecting anything from that standpoint. And so once we get to the point of getting standards that are in place from an ethics standpoint, security standpoint, then we'll be on the right path to pretty much creating a metaverse. You know, like what we said earlier, the metaverse is all of these networks connecting together, interconnecting, talking to each other. When I talked about the gaming systems, it was an act of God to get, PlayStation, Microsoft, Xbox, and Switch, and all those game systems to interact and play together. And so we have to do that on a bigger scale, which is the world scale.
So, Maria, collaboration is the key?
Yes.
It is part of it, and it is our responsibility to make it right. And so ethics standards are very important. We are beginning now to see more and more people getting involved in this topic, writing white papers, having discussions about it, which is great. And I mean, we are in Greece, and I kind of think of ancient Greece when people became medical doctors, and there was the Hippocratic Oath. The message was very clear: do not harm, right? Do not harm. So bringing that back to the metaverse and all this new technology, it's important that we continue that path. It's important that we use this technology to improve the quality of the lives of people and the generations coming. Mm-hmm. So,
Clemens?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit more, like we're talking on the on the meta level for the metaverse right now.
Yeah. More theoretically now.
And I'm more on the operational side because, we developed software or hardware for several years, and which is mainly used on the shop floor, right? And talking about ethics, that's something a discussion that I had with my employees, and we had to change the vision in our company because they said we are, we're doing indoor navigation, but in general, we know where are assets and how do you find the assets and how can you operate when you're there. And my employees said, yeah, but I don't want to work for somebody who is then tracking these people. I mean, they had in mind these poor people are working in a factory, so they're already poor, full with coal, and everything is black, and now we are tracking them to make the management punish them more. And they said, no, not what we are doing. Yeah, what we are doing is we enable the people that they can focus on their work, and only when we bring added value to the people using this technology, then they can perform better, and then the management has better results. If we use this just for tracking them, they will find a way how to crash the phone, they will find a way how to crash classes, and it's not working. And by the way, the people using this technology, they're not poor, they have joy in what they are doing, and we enabling them more. And I guess if we somehow get this done, and I only see the B2B view, right, since we focus on this now, not on the B2C view, but I think that's a very important perspective to understand that. I think, as Jay said, only then it will fly off, right? Otherwise, everybody will be afraid of using it.
Okay.
There are a lot of technical challenges involving creating a seamless and immersive metaverse experience. How do developers and how do companies are or should address them?
I think the mistake that we were doing, I hope I try to keep it short. Yeah, we don't have to use our safe word that we discussed before to stop somebody. No, but the short version is, I guess, we always were talking about technology. We getting investment. I guess we come to the investment part before. Then we got a lot of money and we invested more in technology. And we completely forgot first there's a use case where you bring added value. Then you see how can you make a use case that enables the people to do their work better and make more fun, and then the rest follows afterwards, right? Which is the technology that you use? Is it XR? Is it XR with AI because it can help to identify data? But that comes later. First of all, what do you want to solve? And this is, I guess, the problem that we have today with hardware. I also don't want to put any names there, but like when you ship now glasses, some suppliers ship you glasses with anything on it. So what's the experience? What's the use case? Whom do you target for? And this, I guess, to be fair, took us 10 years to get that point. Yeah, what is the problem that you want to solve? Do you answer a question that somebody even asked? And if it is there, just on the B2B side, what's the value that you solve so that they're interested in taking this? And so, sorry, that was a long one.
Tim, I think that, the opinion that the metaverse is going to be a problem solver is something that you don't hear it very often.
That it's a problem solver?
Yeah.
It will, solve some problems, or it may solve a lot of problems. It all depends on where you're at in the future. Today, it's going to help us basically figure out how to get interconnected from that standpoint. But it's not going to solve the problems around what we have with ethics and developers and how they create software. When you think about the history of software, it's always been write software open and clear for everybody to share. And just like the internet, the internet was built to be anonymous. And so with the metaverse, the way we're going, we don't want that to be anonymous, if that makes any sense. And that's something that has to change.
The quite longer version.
The current approach circles around profitability, not about human centricity. So it should be on the users. We need to figure out what they need. We have to inspire them. The current approach, as I've said, is technology. So here, use it. And it's about how can I make crap loads of money out of this. This is as well why several are right now talking about the metaverse winter and so on, because they are simply disappointed that they can't get rich as fast as possible. The thing is really, we have to figure out the use cases, the needs. What do the people want? How do they want to use it? Privacy, it's brilliant. I mean, the first iteration of the internet was from nerds for nerds. It was a beautiful space. Then the corporates came in to make money. With the metaverse, we will simply repeat this mistake. So everything circles right now around the ROI, about the OKR, about the whole alphabet of horror. Instead of simply asking, how do you want to use it? Mike, how do you want to use it? Yes.
Maria, you've overcome quite a few challenges, technically speaking, mostly on hardware. So your opinion on those challenges, the implementation of the technological implementation of the metaverse?
Oh, well, yes, well, there are definitely challenges that we still need to tackle in terms of, well, hardware if we're talking about true immersive experiences with XR devices, of course, things like near-eye display technologies and perception immersion technologies, there's still some gaps there. Connectivity, we have the 5G, a lot of progress have been made in this, and then it's all the cloud and computing, so computing power is definitely a challenge. And then the question of, do we want to process the information on the device itself, or do we want to process it in the cloud, do everything with the algorithms, et cetera, and then bring that back? Is there a latency that we need to solve there? So these are real challenges. And then as I think Jay mentioned earlier, in the platforms, having a common platform, I think it was Clemens, where people just come in, can we agree what are the platforms that we need to use for the content, and then make it easier for even the consumer, like payments or things that, like Jay said, what are the needs and can people access that? Today we do a lot with our cell phone. Can we do the same thing in terms of an immersive, true XR experience? So there are a lot of gaps here. But I think over time, we will be closing these gaps as time goes on and progress keeps making. So I'm very positive about it.
Okay, Clemens, let's be more specific. We were talking mostly theoretically. So are there any promising use cases that you've seen of businesses using the metaverse correctly in order to promote the real values or the hidden values of this technology?
I mean, I'm in AR, I guess, since 2007 or something like this, yeah. And we all thought, when you have a marketing hype, then it goes down, and then you have industry, and then goes up again, and you are in the B2C consumer market. So now we are 15 years later, where I started, and I mean, some of you are even longer within the topic, and I talked with some friends working at other software companies in the US, which were even making products, that we are still not there, when are we there? And at the moment, I think it's really quite hard. I don't see the B2C use case at the moment, besides a few, yeah. So that we have a discussion, but it's really very hard for me to see something scalable right now. For us, we have seen, if we have something where we really can optimize processes because we use XR, and I'm sorry, I'm very focused now on what we are doing because it took us so long to get out of technology, AI, and classes, not classes, smartphone. But what we've seen is that at the end, we use augmented reality for our tracking because otherwise you would need, for instance, for locating where you are in a big factory, ultra-wideband or beacon. So we use augmented reality because you save millions of dollars in a big venue. Instead of, we don't need hardware, you can use technology like optical tracking. Great. And then you need to find a way, now you have that, why do you need that? And that's what we have seen. We have bigger buildings, a lot of technology, a lot of automation, PLC controller, all that Industry 4.0. I mean, we talk about Metaverse, but that's another...
A digital twin.
You have to do that, bullshit, But, and it's the same thing, right? Like, I had a talk yesterday with one of our partners here in Athens. He said, Industry 4.0 is like Metaverse, yeah? Everybody talks about it, but what is it? We just do things better with better technology. And I think that right now we're doing incremental things, yeah? You have same processes, you can use technology intelligent, and if that improves the process because you save money, because you make life easier, because you don't need hardware for locating which could interfere with production lines in our case, because it runs on 2.4 gigahertz, then there is a business case behind it, and this is what we are now focusing. But we also had to learn, and this was one of our problems. Yeah, it took us nearly the same time to develop the business case, like to develop the technology, to understand. We have so many opportunities with indoor navigation, shopping malls, airports, factories, and we had to narrow it down and said, no, we, as a small company, we only focus on how can we make life easier in factories for a worker with a lot of assets around. And this was really hard, and I guess this is the thing where we are right now, right? what is it you want to solve? And I guess that's something that we discussed before. When you're a startup, or like you said,
you have to focus.
It's not like, here 10 millions and do some awesome shit. Why are you doing it and for whom, right? But
absolutely. I'll add to that. Prior to being here at Lenovo, I was with General Motors as their chief architect and strategist for immersive. And some of the examples that I can give you from where we use immersive is with pre-production buildings, building of vehicles. A good example was the Corvette C8. When we started building the Corvette C8, we found out at the last minute that we couldn't assemble the convertible Corvette. And that was because we only do a 20% test of a build on a new car. So using immersive technology, we're able to put 8 people inside of a virtual environment, rebuild the entire car with the convertible, and then send that right back down to the factory within a matter of hours in order to get production back up and running.
We talk about B2B and B2C. One topic that I would like you to comment on is how about working remotely? I mean, many say that the metaverse is going to be the place to work. Mostly after what we all saw that happened during the pandemic.
So, and this is exactly one of the most exciting use cases. We talk about collaboration, cooperation, and so on. The metaverse, however we define it, will only work if we agree that it's this connectivity layer as well for humans. Pandemic, fantastic, thank you. I've been highly shocked that, for example, in Germany, only 24% of the employees were able to work remotely. Mostly the guys who come into the office. What about the rest that have to be somewhere? So I started to figure out, talk with companies, and we've developed this concept of remote robotics. So that even a construction worker, mining company, agriculture could work remotely. Maybe like this office worker in his jammies during whatever, in his Zoom call, that you could simply, and here XR is really crucial, where if you already have all of these simulators, if it's the agro simulator, if it's the mining, and so on, you could simply connect it via the metaverse with your machines. Majority of these machines are already capable of being remotely operated. You see an excavator and so on, and the guy is standing around and remotely operating it. Why not putting additional sensors onto it and simply do it within VR device from home? So this technology has the power to make us independent, even to work remotely from wherever we need to be. So being prepared for the next pandemic. When you think back how we've been playing as children with our cars and playing around and so on, this is how we overview things. So in the metaverse, there was one use case from air traffic control, where you are in this VR experience, you see the airport from above, from the God mode, and you see all of the planes with your colleagues. You experience far more things when you see it from this distant perspective. And this is the main superpower of the metaverse, or of this visualization through gamification. So here is this, I would say, one of the biggest impacts, to connect all of these smaller verses, all of these smaller entities that we've built, that you have from this indoor navigation, and simply allow everyone to dock on with major use cases on it.
So Maria, we all mentioned about gaming, that was the field that the metaverse, let's say, started or had the most dedicated audience. So gamification is the key of all, is the key of making, well, more viable infrastructure, friendlier for the citizens.
Yes, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
So I mean that I asked you that if gamification, the theory that, well, they said before, that putting everything in the world of the metaverse in order to make our life easier.
I see.
Or to make the lives of the citizens easier, like infrastructure, as you mentioned before, is the key.
That's a good question, and I don't think we have all the answers today. This is something that is evolving as we go. We do have clear examples of how this immersive world has supported, especially during the pandemic, like what Jay was saying. I recall during my years at HoloLens, we saw use cases for training, remote assist, especially first responders training, right? Where you can simulate this reality and train people as if they are in a real life situation, emergency. We also saw training for the military in the healthcare industry as well. Major progress with this technology. Does it solve everything? It's hard to answer that question today because, you know, we still will continue to use other tools. I mean, just because I have an iWatch does not mean I'm not going to be using my Pixel phone, for example, or my PC, right? I use my PC a lot for many different things. So I think everything has a time, a place, and we are not there yet. But I love to see all of these use cases and how it is providing a different opportunities, expanding opportunities, and actually supporting the industries. And all of this, hopefully, as Jay said, will be the building blocks, and then connecting everything, it will be a plus.
One thing I would like to add, how you've said, everything has its time. Some things simply do not make sense. You don't need to write an email in the metaverse. You don't need to fill in an Excel sheet within the metaverse. It's simply nonsense. So everything, it should be in our freedom to decide, will I use it? Yes or no. It should not be this kind of pressurized, you have to use it. It's a tool. So simply, if you want to do something on your smartphone, on your laptop, whatever, or immersively deep dive into something, it should be your choice so that you can develop the best workflow for yourself. When you've mentioned a defense sector, what I've been confronted with in recent time is data overload. These tools are being designed by people who are designing the tools, that are not using these tools. When you've ever seen in a task force people putting sticky notes on their monitors to blend out information that are right now just distracting, or military use cases of the HoloLens, when the people simply are so overwhelmed by all of the data that is coming in, they turn it off, they put it away, because it's distracting right now. In my age, I need different type of information than someone who is just half my age. If someone is on the deciding level, let's say staying in the military, the whatever task leader, whatever it is, he needs different information than the guy who is in the mud. So here, adaptive data, that now comes ChatGPT, all of these AI tools, and very important part in this technology to filter the right information that we need now.
Tim, yesterday afternoon I was writing down my questions from this discussion for this panel, and I asked ChatGPT to tell me if I was correct, if there was anything missing, and it told me to ask, not you specifically, but I will ask you about the risks, about the security, and what businesses should take care of in order to migrate into the metaverse and mitigate the dangers?
Well, it really comes down to privacy in your data and separating your personal or your corporate IP from the rest of the world. And that's basically, it's going to be on an edge device, or it's going to be in a secure cloud infrastructure that you probably control. More or less, the biggest risk is what we have going on around the world right now is the malware, or basically the, not malware, but ransomware. That's what I was talking about. Ransomware is basically going rapid. We've had two cities in the United States, Oakland City as well as Dallas in the last couple of months. Dallas, Oakland City just got to 95% back online just 2 days ago, and that started in February. So it's really down to the malware. I think what we can do there, though, is not just focus on corporate security, but focus on individual security.
Meaning?
Meaning that basically a lot of us are going around blissful in this internet today with our iPhones or our devices connecting, but we're not basically engaging in understanding how to protect ourselves. We're waiting for others to protect us, like an Apple or Google, or even a Facebook, for that matter. And we really can't go into a future expecting a corporation or even the government to protect every individual. It really comes down to individuals' understanding of what to do and what not to do on the internet, what to share, what not to share on the internet, and basically who to engage with and who not to engage with.
So, Clemens, we're talking about privacy now.
Yes.
Do you agree with that opinion, that it's up to the individual, or should we take another approach? I mean, in the EU, regulation is, well, comes first. So we had GDPR, and in the metaverse, I mean that if they know my data, they know my daily habits, they know how I look like, they know how I move around inside my house or my office. Too much data, isn't it?
And especially the metaverse, and I mean, I always see it from the ER perspective, from the augmented reality perspective, not from the virtual reality. And in general, you know who you are walking around, and you are streaming all the time pictures and videos, adding to your location. And these are the questions that we always have to answer for our customers here, the union and stuff like this. When you are now wearing glasses, or you're, in our case very often, walking through a factory and you're checking something and you film everybody, can we then, with AI, identify if a person is smoking or sitting in there as a... And I mean, we're just at a business level. If you then go down and you have B2C leverage and everybody's running around with glasses and you have all of the pictures, and we just get that input from factories, can you identify if somebody's wearing a hard hat? Okay, it's for security. But where do you then differentiate? Yeah, if a worker is maintaining a machine and just analyze the picture, which you annotate for him, and he just focuses on the machine, but you realize, Sam is not wearing a hard hat, and Joe is smoking over there, and automatically this goes into his files. So where do you differentiate, right? What is security, what is privacy? And then you have ransomware, and somebody else gets the pictures. This is how they build at GM, the new car, good to know for us. It's going to be a tricky part, yeah?
So, it comes to ethics.
Ethics.
I wanted to add also, I mean, in addition to this outward looking, there's also devices that have inward looking cameras, right, for eye tracking, for example, hand tracking, everything. So there is data about, based on, with the eye tracking, your emotions, and face tracking, how, for avatars, right, this is being used. So every expression that you have, your avatar will mimic you. And so that is a lot of data that is also something to consider as well, especially when it comes to emotions and human, your own personal identity.
You touched on something there that I think is also important when it comes to eye tracking.
Yes.
Most people don't realize that with the eye tracking, we can check blood pressure.
Yes.
We can check all types of basically healthcare information.
Yes.
So now we're crossing over into HIPAA, or
Yes.
from the United States, HIPAA issues, and the UK other type of, privacy issues where we have to protect that data.
Yes. And then when you combine that with even other sensors like EEG, like encephalo, yes, exactly, then now you are really going into the brain waves, and that's even more to consider as well.
So with such an amount of data and information, do you believe that there should be any ethical consideration from both businesses and developers to take them into account when they're creating experiences within the metaverse?
No.
No.
The thing is, mostly when developers are developing something, it's not out of their mood, it's because someone pays them for this.
And
so the goal is more or less to develop something. No one sits around and thinks about, is it okay what I'm doing? This is the question that comes afterwards, because you don't think about every kind of implication. When someone started to misuse it, and technology is just a tool, it's not good, it's not bad, it's what we make out of it. So if I decide to be, sorry to say it like this, an asshole, then I act like an asshole. I misuse it. So ethic is a synthetic construct to make something digestible, which might be legal, but not moral. We all have our inner moral compass. There are some rules that are clear to everyone. You shall not murder, you shall not steal, and so on and so on. If we have, especially a corporate, a bigger company that is only interested into profit, and there was this research done from the university in Munich, and they figured out that every fourth manager is barely considering ethics when they are dealing with decisions. Every fifth manager even openly told them that he does not care about ethics. For him, the important is to reach his goals, to get his bonus, simply to be paid. So as long as we have a system where everything is circling around using your data, monetizing this data, we will not have anything ethical. I mean, come on, if the big social community, Facebook, whatever, if they would be completely clear with their user agreement, stating in 2 sentences, I grab all your data and I don't give a shit. It would be up to us to say,
that would be bad for
I
business.
use it, yes or no. But we hide it, and we are so used to it that everyone hides in user agreements everything. As long as we don't have to think about it, everyone knows it, how they misuse the data. But as long as it's not really written black on white and completely clear, we ignore it. So ethics is, in my opinion, just a synthetic construct. We should go onto a deeper level. Transparency is far more important. We should be completely clear if it's with data. Fine, protecting IP of a company, but not everything is IP. Right. We are protecting too much. What we are doing is information hiding. There are companies that use the need to know principle. We behave in a way like the NSA, for example. I don't tell you what you are doing. You just do your piece. So this bigger picture, this why should I do something? This is missing. And here as well, ethics, moral behavior will be missing. As long as it's just about, I need to feed my family, I need to make money, right?
So I'm keeping transparency as the key factor for that.
Transparency and chi bono. Who has an opportunity out of this? Why are you doing this? If you would be the master of your own data, if it would be completely transparent for you, this company collected this and this and this data, some kind of platform where you could even define, okay, this is a data level 0, so public available for everyone. This is data level 1, only for healthcare. This is data level 3, and so on. We would value our data, we would see what it brings, what everyone is collecting. It would be a far different together.
I'm hoping that business leaders that are among us, they're going to consider that if they have not already done. Well, there is another hot topic in the town. It's the AI. Since November, we've seen it coming into our lives, our computers, our smartphones. But there is space, I guess, for intersecting those emerging technology with the metaverse. AI, blockchain, algorithms, as we said before in the backstage. So how we're going to do that and how businesses can do that and benefit from it?
I think it is already happening. Is, you know,
so use cases.
It's like the genie coming out of the box. You can just put it back in. It's done. And so these are tools that will complement each other. XR, AI are great tools together. Then again, you know, speaking of the algorithms, well, generative AI will be, you know, it's already something, a companion. We see this more and more as this technology evolves, and the need people have to have this companion that is with you and is supporting you in tasks, etc. So this is something that is already being developed out there. When it comes to the algorithms and the data that we are talking about, then, you know, how much information do we want to keep on the actual device, or how much do we want to put on the cloud as well, and how is that information being filtered and then coming back to us. And that's also another point, is maybe another topic as well, in terms of how does that filtered information affect our decisions and our choices, right, as we use them. So
decision-making and the use of the new technologies is something that I hear it a lot. So what's your point on that?
Just totally can agree. I mean, if I put it into our operative perspective, we also get the same feedback. Can you integrate AI in what you are doing? Because, with us, we are helping workers to grab data, so we have a data input, which the good thing is we know that they're at the right location, they do the right job, so it's a valid data input, because if you enter shitty data, you get shitty data. But for us at the moment, we have like circles, you have to check something every day, every week, and they said, hey, if you collect the data, can we use AI to have a better prediction? And said, that machine is running fine, we got the PLC data, we got the data from the worker, which he looked at it and took a picture with XR, we guided him there, and then can you help us? And said, no, this machine is like only 2 years old, the PLC data is fine, the real data that you captured is fine, so can you predict? It's not every week, it's just only 3 weeks. So you free up more productivity, they can do different jobs, and so I guess it's, as you've said, it's a complement what you're doing. The only thing is at the moment, I just can say it for us, we have so many different requests that it's really hard to find a standard. How do you integrate AI? Yeah, that's the complicated thing, because we've got so many different use cases. So we're just looking, how can you standardize it? It's a tough one, right? But like we managed it, we can now easily integrate something into any building, any venue. How can you then put AI behind? But there are so many different use cases. And I guess, as you've said before, right, we're at the beginning of this journey, and you'll have to start with these smaller projects and then see that how can you scale that and make that easy accessible at the beginning for us, for every factory, and then maybe for every use case that you can say, I want to make my day easier, right, or whatever, and then it helps you to
make your day easier or improve every process. So,
so all of that needs money. But we said that, investments, and we said that, you said that we don't want to talk about it. So how can companies can afford today to follow the speed, the rapid changes that are happening in order to keep up with the technology?
Well, the companies can afford it. They can, they have enough money. They are making billions of profits. The thing is just, if they are reduced to keeping these profits somehow for themselves, rolling this out to their shareholders, to the management, and so on, this is the main issue. So optimization mostly means cutting budgets. It needs to be somehow, especially with new technologies, we have to figure out what we can do with it and how to implement this. And the use cases will come after. You cannot just tailor something and say, okay, I would need to do this and that, and embedding a little bit of AI, and it does not work like this, because you are stuck in your confirmation bias. So companies should rather think about these low-hanging fruits, how to test these technologies on the small way to improve something. For AI, it would be, for example, the biggest opportunity that I see here is augmented humanity. So getting your data that you are not, or when you are collecting data, when you are doing something, that the data that comes back to you, XR is the visualization layer, and AI simply helps you to filter out what you need to see now, not to be overwhelmed. So really getting this benefit out of this. Currently, we see this overwhelming featureitis. I need to have everything embedded. And then it's already the beginning of the end, because no one will use it. So really keep it simple. Do things that really bring an impact, like helping the workforce to get more quality time.
I mean, I like what the customer said to us, because what you said, companies have enough money. They just said, how much budget do you need? You can have 1 billion if you save me 10 billion.
Okay, so mine is not a problem.
But we come back, solve a problem which is worth to be paid.
So I heard your advice, because this is my last question. What advice would you give to companies that are going to just starting to explore the metaverse? So I want to hear from the others what your advice would be.
Yes, so, well, going back to all this original hype of the metaverse, right? And now it's important we set the correct expectations. So that people
The dust has settled.
Exactly.
2 or 3 years ago, yeah.
Yes, yes. So think of your strategy. Don't just jump into it. Think about why are you doing and how are you going to do it and what is the benefit you are creating, the opportunities you are creating. How does that impact your industry? You know, where are you into? There are so many different industries across the board, and not one thing fits everybody. So having that strategy is very important, and just taking small steps. You don't have to put all your eggs in one basket or, you know, overinflating this whole thing. Just have the strategy, think about the steps you are taking with the tools that are available. And the beauty is that we continue to see more and more tools available. So this has to be a dynamic approach. As time goes by, you adapt to the new tools and you utilize them for your benefit as a company, a benefit in terms of how does that solve the problems that you have as a company, profits, etc. And so I think that having that strategy in place and understanding what the technology can and cannot do. So having the correct expectations.
So I keep baby steps, and what else?
Well, that's baby steps. Well, looking at what your industry is, we talked about what problems are being solved, and so what are your biggest gaps, and how does this technology can help you close some of those gaps? It could be, you need more training. It could be that a company is launching something new, maybe in the healthcare industry or in education. We haven't talked. I think there's a panel later on education, but looking at how the impact of that technology, how can it help maybe close some of the gaps that a company may have, maybe acquire more market share or reach out to more customers or etc. Make things less cost, maybe. So just think about what those baby steps are, and then.
So, team, don't get overexcited. Is that the other thing?
I'd start with people, processes, and technology. We've talked about this a lot here, that we're pushing technology to the nth degree, and we're moving at an accelerated rate. The thing is, what we're not doing is we're not thinking about the people that have to use that technology and perfecting the technology so that it can be used properly and integrated into society. And so if you start with the people, where we've completely lost or missed out on because we're pushing on technology, now you start thinking about the things that you're going to try to solve with, like we talked about cameras in the workplace. A lot of headsets have inside-outside tracking and cameras. Can that really be used in the general public area within a company? I know back at GM, it's forbidden to have cameras in the workspace. So how do I use a headset in the workspace? I can't. Over the last 12 months, I've been working or evaluating headsets with cameras. Get on a plane, I got kicked off 3 times with cameras. Started wearing glasses without cameras, I didn't get kicked off, but I was able to do my job. And so I go back to, if you look at the people, you look at what they really need, and is it really the Google Glass that we saw 10 years ago is where we should start today, which is a lot cheaper than trying to go into the area where you're doing 4K, 3K, or 4K graphics, high-end rendering. That's usually probably less than 5 or 10% of a company.
Clemens?
But maybe coming back just to one thing here, because we talked about it before, right?
Yes.
The big disadvantage with these Google glasses, they were launched in 2016 or when, I don't know. Yeah. And the problem is when I now talk to customers, said, why do I need a smartphone? Google had in 2016 glasses. I said, yeah, but there was a trial and it's a system. They started small. And you can't explain that. It still takes, like, what did we say, till 2027, 28,
yes.
till you maybe have really, and that's so hard to explain because people just read something in the press, got a hint of it and said, okay, I mean, it was 5 years ago, now it's available, right? Yeah. And it's not that easy. And as Maria said, I think it's really an incremental step after the other. I mean, we talked really to a lot of corporates, and we lost a lot of time there, to be fair, when you talk to head of innovation, accelerators. They just got money to try technology for what purpose? Like you've said, right? What are you
creating
solving?
PowerPoints.
Yeah, and exactly. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's B2B or if it's B2C. I mean, if there is no added value, why should you use it, right? And that's the thing, I guess, where we need to see that we don't talk about technology, but we see that we have new tools where we can better solve problems, better find good solutions, and I guess then implement them. And then decide, is it AR, is it AI, is it maybe both together? Is it classes, is it phone, is it both? Who cares?
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have 30 seconds left. The last word is yours.
We should stay curious. We should really think about how would I like to use it instead of how would the others like to use it. It's about, I mean, we are defining when I'm finding a solution for something, then I can think about, do the others want to use it as well? So this should be the main imperative. Do I want to use it? How would I feel if this technology would be used against me? That's it. 1 second, done.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.